We're live? Oh, we are live. Welcome back to No Vaseline Deep. I'm your host, John Dominiani, with a returning guest Aiden and, of course, our special guest,
Claudia Conway.
Hi.
The one and only. So, I guess the way to begin this is, how are you spiritual, Claudia?
I'd say I'm spiritual in pretty every way, like in every way of my life, I'd say. I don't really follow a religion anymore. I used to be Catholic.
Same,
but I don't really believe in organized religion anymore. So I think my spirituality comes from myself, if that makes sense.
Right, I know what you mean. How, that does kind of make sense to me, because I feel like everyone starts these types of, spiritual journeys on their own, if you know what I mean. Like, you
Definitely.
look at, you come to realizations.
I think it's the things that happen in your life and the things you go through that kind of shape who you are, as a person and spiritually.
So, what have actually been some of those moments? Have there ever been any defining moments? It doesn't always happen with certain people.
Definitely. Was your house burning down?
Well, that was a moment that made me realize who I truly am. I'm a maximally positive person, you know? I never get mad about anything.
He did not care. He had his, spiritual ascension, way before that. His house
I ate a
down
piece of
with
chocolate.
nothing.
We're not saying what type of chocolate, but it was a piece of chocolate. That's what started everything. That was well before. But then...
Yo.
What?
Claudia might need this kind of chocolate.
Yeah, I might need to start my spirit. Alright, bet.
Yeah.
I'm gonna hold you to that after this.
Okay.
No, but I'd say some defining moments would be I moved when I was young.
Right.
Well, not young. I moved a lot. I'd say getting this fame on the internet, which
When did this start?
that was in the beginning of July.
And did that grow you up real quick or what?
Yeah, 100%. And I think I had to mature really quickly because it went from one day me being just a normal teenage girl living my life. I was at the beach with my friends actually, and then the next day I had half of the world watching me, which is really scary. But I don't know. It was really scary at first but I've matured from it, and I know how to hold myself now.
Was it literally one of those things where it happened overnight?
100%.
Over a couple.
Overnight, literally overnight. I woke
That's
up and I
crazy.
had 300,000 followers.
So one thing that I want to ask is, because I can imagine that part of this, part of you becoming the person you are in terms of how your consciousness operates today, is becoming famous itself, right? The idea, what was it like when you first had to deal with, you probably got a lot of hate, right?
Definitely. At first I got a lot of hate, but also a lot of, the thing, how I see comments and stuff is that 95% of them are going to be good comments, and then that other 5% you have to kind of disregard. But at first I did not know how to deal with it. What people were telling me they were going to come kill me, tell me to kill myself, call me all this shit.
Terrible.
And I didn't know how to deal with it. This was almost a year ago, so I was 15. I didn't know how to deal with it. I'd never dealt with anything like that. I guess I had a following, but just people I knew, friends, whatever, but never like that. But it takes time. Time teaches you maturity. Time teaches you forgiveness. Yeah.
That's insanity to me. Imagine not being prepared. We always talk about it. Just goes to show how spiritual you did become. Dominiani, we always talk about it, how we expect hate comments. We expect to have to fight with the school or do this or do that. This is a whole set of problems that you at 15 were not willing to deal with.
Oh, 100% not. I didn't consent to reporters writing things about me. I'm still a minor.
I always see the Daily Mail's coming after you.
Yeah,
the pervs at the Daily Mail, right?
A lot of the media defamed me. I had half of the internet attacking me overnight, and I didn't know why.
When did you I know certain people make the change. Did you feel it was a certain time, a certain situation, certain something that actually really helped you?
Definitely. I think it was around October or November. I was getting backlash for a party, and I realized that social media is not real. It is genuinely not real. I think social media is a great way for people to express themselves creatively and however else they want to express themselves, but there's also it's such an awful dark side of social media that people don't see. You see people are so oh, I'm so jealous of you, it must be so cool. It is. It's pretty cool, but I didn't sign up for it, at all. That's definitely not where I wanted my life to go at all. Like it completely uprooted my life because I feel like I'm a pretty reserved person. Like I don't really share a lot with people, and then that kind of just like uprooted my entire life. I had to literally change my lifestyle, you know, because now like I'll be walking around like getting like Chipotle and people come up to me and like take pictures with me, and it's really weird because I don't see myself as anything. I just see myself as like
Which we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about the
universe.
interconnectedness. This whole thing about it. We're going to talk about it.
Like my friends, like Bianca Hunter, they don't see me as anyone. Like you don't see me as someone like exactly. You just see me as Claudia, right?
Yeah.
It's the weirdest thing.
I see what you mean because like that's kind of like how I know there's like a big leap forward in this conversation. But that's kind of how like the ego works, right?
Definitely.
The whole idea of the ego, the reason that it's like an illusion, the definition of the idea of a self is because it's all based around other people.
Definitely.
Right? Like what makes you Claudia Conway, it's all based around who you are, right? Like you're Kellyanne Conway's daughter.
Exactly.
Who are the people who watch you, thousands of people watch you. All of these things, that's what makes this illusion. And so people fall trapped to that illusion in the sense of a lot of people use that as like they're like, okay, so people kind of take a step away from what is pure and they realize like, okay, so this is what this person is. This is not like, instead of looking at you just as like a living being, right? People look at you as, okay, this person has these values. I take pride in disliking or liking this person, and you know, it brings all these things on.
And I think there's like a weird thing that comes with fame. For example, like you have the Kardashians.
Yeah.
Who like we look at them as like the most famous people ever, but why? Why they're
That's
just
a perfect example.
They are just normal people, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like let's say you saw a celebrity like walking down the street, you'd probably go up to them and say, "Oh my God, I love you. Whatever. Can I get a picture?" But you don't know what's going through their head. Like they're just a normal person, and to them, like I don't know. For me, like I don't consider myself.
Right.
People call me like famous. They say I'm like a celebrity. I don't consider.
They're all
myself.
human constructs. All these
Exactly.
ideas. They're not real things.
They're made by our consciousness. Like they're fabricated by the human mind.
They're fabricated by the human mind, the human brain, and the vessels which carry our pure consciousness, which is our bodies and our brains and all that stuff that makes us who we are. And so, one of the interesting things about the idea of the ego, I was talking to a friend earlier today on the phone. They told me, it's like, just think about this. Imagine like if there was just like one person to ever exist, and from birth, they were locked into a sensory deprivation chamber, where there's no color, there's nothing, there's no sound, there's nothing, right? They wouldn't have an ego or any identity of self because there would be nothing to base it off of. It's all a social construct.
I think of that as, you know, how, like, babies, for example.
Right.
And you know how they say that babies can't see color, they don't know, and how we have, like, racism, sexism,
nature versus nurture.
Nature versus, exactly, because all of that is taught. Everything that we know has been taught, right? Babies, if Kim Kardashian walked up to a baby, the baby wouldn't give a shit, you know? The baby's just like, oh, another human being. And that's kind of like the purity in that naivete, that kind of like oblivion of not having that structure in your head, not thinking, oh, this person has a certain status and that person has a certain status. They're superior, they're inferior.
All these
exactly,
constructs.
we're all taught that. The constructs they're all fabricated in the human mind. They're all taught, and we are responsible for that.
Right.
We're all complicit in that. Every single one of us, every person watching this, every single person on this earth is responsible for that.
And that's like part of the goal of my podcast. And I realized like the nature of what I want to do, like the fun of it is like I could ideally do this my whole life because like the nature of what I want to do is like wake people up in that sense. There are so many people who will just never be ready for that until they leave. What I like to say, because I believe that the whole idea of consciousness is that it's just all one collective consciousness, which is the universe, and it manifests itself in our bodies. There's many people who, until they die and return back to the collective, won't really understand it. And so that's part of what makes this that's part of what makes what I do so fun, right? Coming on with a lot of these different people like you and a lot of these different people with different perspectives and trying to convey their ideas, conveying my ideas to show people these different ways of thinking. But obviously it's like inherently impossible because there's always gonna be plenty of people who will never ever be convinced that anything I'm saying has any remote level of possibility to be
there's a certain emotional maturity that comes with accepting that and kind of waking up, like you said, and realizing, like coming to the fact that everything has been fabricated by us. Everything, all our all of our consciousness, the universe, like we kind of created it in a sense. This kind of like life, these lives that we're all living. I mean, to me, I think that nothing matters, but in like a long-term we're speaking, like nothing really matters, you know?
Don't spend that's why I always try to like be thinking so long-term. Warren Buffett said this, you know, don't spend 5 minutes thinking about something that's not going to matter in 5 years.
Exactly.
You know, obviously it's different when you're trying to reach your goals, but a lot of people just treat normal things in their life like such big deals. I don't know.
Definitely.
I think part of the other thing with that is the idea of what we were just saying about. We were just saying.
Shout out to No Vaseline Shop. Go check out the merch too. I had to interrupt Dominiani. Dominiani was getting too hairy right there. One of the people on the side took a video, and Dominiani's mad now.
No, I'm not mad. It's fine. I don't really care.
But
I know.
Mad.
I don't believe in being mad. Being mad isn't like, I don't know. I don't think it's real because the whole idea of the universe is that it's basically like the fabric of reality is love, right? Because when you think about it, if you view it such that
I'm listening.
yeah, okay, Rob, I blinked a lot. I get it.
The fabric is love.
So what I mean by that is that if you do look at it that way, if you look at everything as the idea that the universe is this one conscious entity which manifests itself in all these people and we're all connected in that way, the idea of love is the idea of connection. So basically, the only emotion that could accurately describe, the only feeling that could accurately describe what like the fabric of reality is made of is love, right? And that's kind of what I'm trying to convey with this podcast. But something I've learned along the way is like I could tell that to people all day long. It doesn't mean they're going to believe me. I kind of have to show that, and that goes back to what you just said, Amy. What's your name took the video of me? I don't care. I'm not mad. I don't get mad at anyone. I don't ever get mad at. Why would I ever dislike anyone? I love everybody, you know, because everybody is part of. To me, everybody's part of one, right? And see what I mean about showing it. Like, see how the positive feedback. Everyone's laughing. Everyone's in a great mood, right? See how this works and like it feeds off itself. Like what would it actually do if I got mad there? What would it have done if I got mad?
Nothing.
No, nothing at all. Nothing at all. It wouldn't have done anything. You know, if like this is part of why people find me to be such like a funny character, right? Because of like.
Dude,
right,
being
Rob?
around you,
right, Rob?
dude. Like I said on the
being
podcast,
around you makes me happy.
Same here. Like I come in here, I'm all mad. Like
that.
I come in here, I'm all mad. I've been, editing videos. I'm like, And Dominiani's sitting in here, and he looks. He's like, "Am I supposed to be in here?" And I just start laughing. You're just the best person to be around, bro.
No,
but as I said,
genuinely.
I really appreciate that, guys. But that's what I meant about showing people. Like, no matter like, obviously everyone was listening to things I was saying before, but I could say all those complex things and try and convince people through words, but it doesn't really do much. But as soon as like that happened, and I was just laughing and joking about it too. Like I'm showing people how I live, not just telling people.
Definitely.
I'm
I think
showing.
That's so important.
I think that's one of the most important things. And I also wanted to, on like a different note, I want to talk to you about meditation. So I know that you're very into meditation.
I am.
Because I actually don't know. The thing is, like, you would think for someone like me who like wants to run this whole spirituality podcast, I don't actually meditate a lot because I really just think about things, right? Like, I just like to think about, like, no matter what I'm doing, whether I'm doing homework, working out, anything, I think about all these things like as well all day long. So, but I've never actually tried meditating. So like, what is it like to meditate?
Yeah, I was thinking about.
I actually don't know. I actually don't know anything about meditating.
People say that like drug addicts will start meditating and then they instantly are just like, "Whoa, this changed me." And a lot of people really swear by it. Tell us.
I think meditation truly changed my life because when I went through a lot last year.
Right.
After like my grandfather died, I was like diagnosed with panic disorder, which is where you have like panic attacks all the time. Like,
I kind of have something similar to that.
Like really severe panic attacks. And it's nothing that like I incite. It's just something like in my genetics, I guess.
I know what you mean.
And how I grew up. It's all like genetic and environmental factors. Exactly. And I was really like, it was a really dark time in my life, and a lot of people were telling me to meditate. Like doctors, therapists, friends, family, and I was like, "What the fuck are you talking about? What the fuck is sitting in silence gonna do for me and breathing?"
That's funny.
But I downloaded the app Headspace, which is
I heard about that.
my favorite app. I know John Baruch was in here talking about Headspace.
Johnson.
That is my favorite fucking app ever. Because honestly, like, that's how I started getting into meditation. I can meditate anywhere, everywhere. I meditate when I wake
people
up.
tell me that about meditating.
I meditate when I wake up, whether it's good. No, I do. Like, when I'm, when I'm, like, breathing, I'm really quiet. It's me meditating. Like how you pray.
Yeah.
Bianca, like, fake prays
No,
to God.
I pray to the Lord.
She prays to the Lord to bring her, like, her next boy. No! I'm kidding.
I give thanks.
She gives thanks.
She gives thanks. I agree.
No, but
You always thank the Lord for good dick.
meditating basically centers yourself and grounds yourself, and I think
Right.
that's something I had a really hard time doing, like grounding myself back to reality. Like Bianca said before, like dissociation. I used to dissociate really, really bad. She can tell you, like bad. And meditating, like if I never started meditating, I probably like wouldn't be here if I didn't help myself, because it's all about your mindset. I believe all that shit, it's all about your mindset. And there's a difference between fault and responsibility. I talk about this all the time. I say it to Bianca all the time. I say it to everyone all the time. There's a difference between fault and responsibility. It's not your fault that certain things happen to you. It's not my fault that X happened to me with my mom. It's not my fault that I became famous. It's not my fault, but it's my responsibility to cope with all that stuff, and it's my responsibility to overcome that.
Yeah.
So everyone deems fault and responsibility synonymous, but they're actually completely different things.
Fault is irrational to me.
Exactly.
Because it's all based on the past. I mean, the thing is with
Exactly.
I always talk about how the past, the only thing that really matters is the present. But I kind of exaggerate that, and I want to say, I don't even see the other ones. Obviously, the past matters, but the only thing that really matters with the past is that you can learn from it.
Exactly.
You shouldn't actually ever worry about the past, because it's no longer real.
Exactly.
It's no longer real. at
Like
all.
it's
not a
just
real thing.
it's not your fault that things happen to you. Let's say you get cancer. It's not your fault. Let's say you get cheated on. It's not your fault, but it's your responsibility to cope with that
Like,
and to
work
learn
through
how
it, come
exactly.
Dude, that's
Because-
actually crazy. Like,
And that's
wow.
I watched the Will Smith video actually. There's a video of Will Smith talking about fault and responsibility when I was in the hospital, like going through all this stuff. And that, I'm telling you, the video changed my life, because it opens me, like, because we all as humans, we're always like, oh, it's their fault, it's their fault, it's their fault, and you feel sorry for yourself, because that's human nature. And I pitied myself for such a long fucking time, and and I felt so sorry for myself, and I just like. There's a certain like ego that comes with that too, feeling sorry for yourself.
He always talks about the greatness of ego death.
Yes,
Right.
I
Ego death.
experienced an ego death.
You experienced an actual ego death?
I
Don't
was-
no. John Dominiani's about to go nuts. He loves
I will go
ego death.
nuts. I will go nuts. So what a buddy of mine learned from taking acid, right, and having ego death like that, is that it's something that it happened. Like, if you're questioning if it happened, like if you have like a high level of doubt, it probably didn't happen. But like, you probably knew it happened, right?
Yeah.
Like, you probably knew, because it's like you probably felt like because what a friend of mine told me when they did it is that I mean, there's like different levels to it with ego dissolution. Like, someone can have a complete ego death where it's literally just like ascend beyond their body and become pure consciousness, but you can also have partial. Like, you can also be like partially feel like where you partially move, like where you move closer towards. It's kind of like it's kind of like how like we on like a daily basis we try and diminish your egos more, right? But it's like on a partial level, your sense of self dissolves. And to anyone who's watching doesn't know what we mean by ego here. We mean by ego the sense of self we were talking about earlier. John Dominiani dissolves and becomes more of a living being, which inhabits the body of John Dominiani.
Exactly.
Right?
No, exactly. No,
Literally.
it's because ego is your ego is just your sense of self. Like, it's just you. Like, you're Aiden DeResta,
Yeah.
right? You are no Vaseline Aiden DeResta.
Yeah.
Like,
You're
who,
also-
what am I? Like, nothing.
You're just a human being too,
Yeah, we're just living every single day. Anything,
Exactly.
any of us can.
with
go through-
feelings,
Oh,
and you have like the will to choose between you have the will to make any decision you want right now.
110%.
You could fucking
I could.
you could take Hunter's sock off right now and swallow it.
Don't do that.
No. I'm just saying, you have the will to decide between what you want to do, right? Because you're a human being. But like for me, everyone's like, oh, Claudia Conway. But who is Claudia Conway?
Claudia Conway is an identity created by all these people.
Exactly.
Claudia Conway is not you.
Exactly.
Claudia Conway is something that everyone else refers to
Exactly.
as. It is a construct. It's not a real thing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
He says yeah nervously. I don't even. It's a lot of crazy ideas.
Truly, because everyone's like, oh, Claudia Conway this, Claudia Conway that. You're friends with Claudia Conway. Blah, 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 blah. Who the fuck is Claudia Conway? I'm sitting right
like
here.
Me and you were talking
Do you feel a sense of like craziness sitting next to me?
Exactly.
I don't.
Like, dude, I was like
From the moment I met you, from the
Exactly.
Like, dude, some kids will come in.
Same thing when I saw Kelly. It's just a person.
Exactly.
Just part of the greater collective consciousness, like I like to refer to it as.
It's like we were talking before. Like my shed. All right, my shed's cool. It's this and that. We all hang out in here. But my shed is the exact same as someone's basement, someone's like garage. It's a place to like hang out and
Nah,
chill.
your shed's holy.
No, actually, no.
The shed is-
Okay, we'll make an exception for that. The shed is actually like built different. I guess we could say. The
But,
shed is
you
a
know,
different breed.
But it's the concept of like, it's the concept of like if I thought of it as anything else. Like obviously I live in here and I love my own shed, but it's the exact same thing as if you built something in your backyard. We could chill in there half the amount of time just because of the convenience.
But everyone knows your shed as the shed.
But it's the exact same thing. That just goes like, it's like if I thought like I had the shed and I was like, yeah, like fuck it, like I don't want that kid in here, like cause you know where that kid like stepped the wrong way, or you know like oh someone accidentally unplugged the computer, you know, and I like you said I get to choose my own problems. Like if that, you know, it's like if I got mad at the person, you know, I don't know. It's just like everything's like normal. Everything's gonna unplug. Everybody's, I don't know. Am I making any sense?
No.
I never make sense.
I get it, but the shed is like an identity of the shed. But
Yeah,
we're
but
talking
that's
about
the-
humans right
We're talking
now.
about humans, but the thing is,
We're talking about the interconnectedness of the universe, and you just
I have a dog.
this is an inanimate object.
Let's talk about Sophie.
that's a thing. Well, we can talk about. We'll talk about Sophie later, Bianca.
Dude, my
Okay.
dog is in love
Alright.
with you.
Yeah. But I think Aiden, what Claudia, the message Claudia is trying to communicate to you is the idea that basically I personally I haven't really developed. I don't know where the idea of the inanimate fits into my understanding of all of this. But basically, what I think of it as is I kind of, if you view all of this as like a dream that our consciousness put us in, then I think the thing that's still good. Like I know you said I know what you were saying about like the artificial constructs. What's different about inanimate objects is that all inanimate objects and all of these senses that we can attain with our human bodies, I actually think that those are things that we should indulge in. Like, I actually think we should indulge in the senses, right? Because the universe, right? Because the universe imbued, right? Like the universe, imbued these like 5 distinct, like incredible senses upon our consciousnesses that we can use. You know, like it's like for instance, it's undeniable that like if you have like a really really good meal, right? Like using your sense of taste, like it's undeniable that there's nothing wrong with that. You know. Like you're interacting with these things. I mean, I like to believe.
So you love that sushi place you went to? That has
like the sushi place was a good example.
Which sushi place?
This place called Shin East in Lower Manhattan. It's like one of the best ones in the world.
I'm gonna blur that out because I don't want that in here.
Just kidding.
I'm just
No, but like, and so what I learned from going to this place where you get this guy who trains 12 hours a day to make sushi and gives you these pieces one by one, gets a piece with gold on top of the caviar, and what I learned from all of this is that I came to the conclusion that there's a very big difference between like the idea of materialism in terms of like the ego, like what we think is good material, like a big house, this or that, and materialism is in terms of
I could go off about
using
materialistic
in terms of like appreciating things that can be attained by the senses, right? Like, why do you think so many spiritual people, like, why do you think like Buddhist monks all go to the Himalayas, like the biggest mountain range in the world, right? Because to help them with to attain enlightenment. Because to help them with their like spiritual journeys, they want to go to these places where they're like
all 5 senses.
right,
being
where like
used.
all the senses, like you are taking advantage of all the senses that we've been blessed with, right? Think about it. Like that's probably
one thing that you were saying about inanimate objects. I don't know. I was just thinking. Sometimes I sit there in the shower and I think about things I'm thankful for. You know, but like I could be thankful for like the camera for working or for like, you know, something for making my life easier. You know, you don't think that?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, but we were
Come on.
talking about identity, and you said that the shed. I get what you mean, that it's a normal shed, blah, 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 blah. But it's an inanimate object. We're talking about the interconnectedness of the universe. And
But isn't everything connected?
yeah. You're
all
connecting yourself to the shed because it's your shed, right? And because so many people have loved your shed, right? Not in that way. You fabricated that structure, that idea in
Claudia
your
gets
head.
it. Like, Claudia gets
that
all of this. I
the
can tell
shed
in the second it matters. She
is the
gets it.
shed. Yeah. But see, some people, like, I don't know if they understand, because there's a certain, like, the level of emotional maturity you have to get to understand what you're talking about.
Right. And so you said you want to go off on materialism for a bit. Literally, like, go off if you want. I want to hear some things on this.
I am not materialistic, and I think that we are so, as humans, and in this society, in this day and age,
Right.
we're so sucked in to the notion that material
part of the game.
objects.
It's
Exactly.
part of this game
Exactly.
that we create.
That there's this game that we have to have these things in order to be of a certain status, of a certain superiority. Or if you don't, you are of a certain inferiority.
That is like the epitome of the human constructs argument. Like how
Exactly.
it's all
And that ties back to what you were saying about the ego, right? And like status.
Right.
Like for me, you could give me $20 a week and a hut, and I'd be literally fine as long as I have my Nick and
yeah.
I knew you were gonna say
a
something like
nearby
that.
Chipotle. Like I'm chilling.
Seriously, that's what we mean when you say the difference between materialism and appreciating and appreciating our senses. If you can still appreciate the sense in the physical world, you like your Nick, you like your Chipotle, you like these things which you indulge with your senses. But
No,
like
yeah,
I just don't. But the idea of like certain material things like luxury
It's just
this,
not
luxury that.
important because I
Unless,
don't, if you believe in like an afterlife, I don't know. If you do, if you don't, like that shit when you're on your deathbed, it's not gonna matter how many like golden gooses you own. It's not gonna matter how many vacations like you spent thousands of dollars on. It's not gonna matter like how many parties you went to. It's not gonna matter like none of that shit's gonna matter. What's gonna matter are the people you love, the connections you have with people, and your overall happiness. And did you live your life to the fullest? And the only way you can live your life to the fullest, I mean, that's subjective, right?
that is subjective.
Roger over here is, he's chilling. And I think he could be living his life to the fullest.
For all we know, I mean,
You know?
I don't know what's going on in Roger's head, but from what I could infer from talking to him, he seems like he's living a great life. Yeah.
He's living his best life. Whereas,
Same
like,
with Rob
Hunter over here,
And Hunter and
she's living her
Bianca,
best
everyone,
life,
Yeah.
right? But everybody lives their life to the way that to their own satisfaction. Because there's no like fixated way, there's no like manual
that's
to
something else
live
I
your
wanted to
fullest
say.
life.
Exactly.
It's all subjective.
Right.
It's subjective to your person. And I like to compare it to like art, for example, because I think art is subjective, right?
Mhm.
And one thing that you may think is like so crazy and so beautiful as like art, and one thing I may think is like is beautiful, completely different things. Because life is subjective.
Yeah, I mean, like, actually, no, go on, sorry.
No, yeah, but lifestyles are subjective. But all in all, it doesn't matter. At the end of the day, the only thing that matters is your happiness and the people around you.
I mean, yeah, it kind of goes to show, like, I personally not into just, like, plain dots as a painting, but, like, different people have different definitions of beauty. Like, I heard there was, like, a painting, it was just, like, a dot, and it like, sold for, like, $50,000, Like, some people are into that. I'm into
abstract art like that because
but
I think if there's a meaning behind it, it's beautiful.
Right. But, like, that's the funny thing. This one wasn't even, like splatter paint. It was just a dot. But, like, I get people liked it, Like, it was like a cultural phenomenon, Like, it was, like, it just, like, got the people going. And so I think that's part of the thing that people want. When people come to the realizations that, like, what me and Claudia are talking about how nothing truly matters and everything simply exists. When you realize that reality can literally be whatever you want.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
It can be whatever you want.
Right.
Exactly.
And I know there's a lot of there's probably some counter arguments saying like, oh, if you say that, there might be people who do bad things. But generally, when you come to these realizations, like, you have such an appreciation for the universe that any interpretations of whatever reality could be are generally like good things that happen.
Definitely.
Like, I think it's like very unlikely that like a significant portion of people who go through things like ego dissolution and these ego experience end up actually being violent people.
Yeah, definitely.
Right.
I'd say like after realizing how the universe works and I like coming to that realization, like I'd say I'm like a peaceful person.
Right.
Unless a bitch wanna fuck with me, then I'm gonna beat the shit out of her.
Right. And I mean,
yeah. But other than that,
Yeah,
I
other
think
than
I'm
that,
a
it's
pretty.
like-
I feel like I'm pretty much like a peacemaker. I feel like
Right.
I don't like conflict.
right. I know what you mean.
And I'm a Libra, so you know. But also,
Into astrology?
yes. I don't like conflict at all. I don't see a point in it.
Right.
But if a bitch wants to try me, she gon'
Yeah. The thing I think about astrology is like, I guess it's like pretty cool to like know your birth signs, but like, I feel like people really be using astrology as an excuse to do anything low key.
It's like, oh, it's okay. She's a bitch. She's a
John,
Pisces.
what's your astrology sign?
It's okay. She's being a bitch. She's a Pisces.
It's like like they
You're Scorpio.
Like, yeah, I'm a Scorpio.
Oh, is that
right.
why you take a dump in your pants every day? Oh, I don't know. I'm not good.
No,
I'm not good with the
astrology
signs.
justifies everything.
I'm not good with the
Exactly,
signs.
like
I think I'm a
people like
Taurus.
It's like you kill someone and say, "Oh, I'm a G, it's fine." They're like a Capricorn. Like Capricorn would do that, you know? It's like people like really,
Capricorn
I'm just
would
kidding.
do this.
What's your sign?
So,
What's your
Capricorn would
sign?
murder
I'm a Taurus.
Of course you are.
Why is that like of course? Like of course
So
I'm
Rob
like,
and I have the
she
same
knew.
fucking birthday, probably the same rising sign and
Right.
moon sign. That's just all I had to say. We're twins.
Oh, you and
Exactly.
Mercado?
Rob, you don't
And
like
your brother.
You don't like conflict.
No.
Exactly. He's a
Yeah,
Libra.
Rob's right. Yeah, exactly. I mean,
And
it's
so
possible. You never know. Maybe.
You're a Libra also. Word.
I mean,
The same birthday.
the thing that I
I'm
realized
not
about
soft.
I used to be like,
Oh no, exactly. I'm not.
Oh, you're not
I
soft. I'm not soft.
Like I'm not soft. Like I can take shit. You know, like I'm not like a. I don't sugarcoat anything, right? Like if Bianca says, "Oh, does this look ugly?" I'm gonna say, "Yeah, you look ugly."
Yeah, no, it's
But
better.
she never looks
right, that's
ugly.
it.
She never looks ugly.
Yeah, true.
No, but like
More functional.
I'm not soft, but I don't like conflict.
Right. I know what you mean. I mean,
No, I agree.
You don't like conflict? No.
Nah. Are you watching this? Step up to my house right now.
you want me to keep that in?
I
I can keep it in.
know he's gonna watch
We
this.
you know what we could do for this? Like, I'll keep this part in.
You
We can
met
do one of
John
those things
Dominiani.
where it zooms in on their face because it makes it funnier, and like, it'll zoom in on your face and do like that.
like an Emma
Are you
Chamberlain.
gonna leave that in?
Actually, I don't know if I
Wait,
should.
John, are you gonna leave this in? What I'm
Are
saying?
you
right
leaving
now?
this in?
Could, we'll figure
Leave
it
it
out.
all in.
Leave it all in. Like what the? Who,
Wait, are you gonna leave this in right now?
I might blurb out bleep out.
Am I allowed
person's
to
name.
curse on this?
No,
Yeah, you can do anything you want.
the name. That's the whole point of her
Beep,
saying
beep,
it.
beep, beep,
Yeah, but that would be
beep.
completely antithetical to my podcast. It's about like peace and love, you know. I can't
Oh,
be
yeah,
like,
yeah.
No,
like
that's
I know
the
this
thing.
person like did something fucked up, right? But like, I don't know if I want to like
We
put their
also
name
we
in.
also give words such meaning, like fuck, right? Like I'll say
We chose to make it have a.
exactly. Like this is what my mom says too. Like my mom's always like, don't curse on the internet, like, cause I speak pretty like vulgar. Like I have a pretty vulgar
Yeah,
language
I
because of
know
how I
what
grew
you're
up. Like
Yes.
I grew up with my grandma calling me like a son of a bitch every 5 seconds, and I was.
Such a loving grandma.
No, she's the best.
No, I know, I'm just messing.
But I grew up in like a hardcore like Italian, very
Mhm.
Catholic family, and I think that kind of drove me
Yeah,
away
same.
from
I know what you
Catholicism. But like I'm just saying, like we give words such meaning, and they shouldn't have that much power over someone. Like if I say fuck you,
Mhm.
like if someone says fuck you to me, I'd be like, all right, yeah, fuck me, like okay.
Well, it actually reminded me of.
Not like that, yo. I got a boyfriend. Not like that.
It actually, it's really funny. It actually reminded me to bring up something about religion that, I mean, obviously I respect anyone who's into religion, but part of like the reason I feel like I left religion is because it has to do with that thing we're saying about human constructs. Is like the idea of like these religions, and it's like basically like, and people. I feel like a lot of it's tied into the ego because people try and come up with these because the ego, the idea of like that, like, oh, I know what is right and
They
I
come
know
up
what is
with
just, and they come up with
justifications.
pride for this, like that. There's like all like the 10 Commandments, all these specific laws about exactly how things
fuck
should
that.
be.
No.
Like I don't believe in that. I don't believe in all of those inherently meaningless.
And
things, you know?
I completely wait. Can I just ask why the jewel charger is like stuck onto your wall?
Oh, I don't know. Whose is that? Where is it? Oh, all the way up there? I have no idea. It's just been there.
All right, I'll take it.
You got it.
Anyway,
Yeah, totally.
It's yours.
What was I saying?
We were saying about religion and
Right,
how, like,
right.
the construct.
Like I grew up like
Y'all sit.
I grew up a devout Catholic.
Right.
And from a young age, I knew everything. You know, I've read the Bible, like,
So
front
you were
to
like
back.
really into it.
No, yeah, and even at such a young age, I would pray the rosary. You know what the rosary is?
Yeah, no, I remember.
I would pray it by
I did
myself.
some of that like Catholic shit, but like I wasn't like that. Like I didn't like always like read the Bible.
No,
and
but the
shit,
thing is, it's because I think when I was... Yo, you want twos? Yo, Papa passed. I'm playing. Anyway,
Yeah.
you know, I grew up and I've always had like a really deep understanding of like the world, especially from a young age. Like I knew, I knew that everything was bullshit, right?
Right.
But I was very religious. And when I was like 10, 11, I would pray the rosary by myself at night. Like the whole thing, the 5 mysteries, like
You're really
no
into it.
crazy. And I went to church like 3 times a week. I would make my mom take me.
So you were more into it than your parents.
No,
That's
100%. I was in the choir. I did so much, right? And I spent so much time. But you know, growing up and reaching that level of like emotional maturity, I realized that like that's not for me. And there's a lot of homophobia in the church that's justified. There's a lot of misogyny in the church that's justified.
And it's not really Catholicism. You can apply this to any religion.
Any religion, every single one. And I'm not hating on other people who believe in that because like I'm a very open-minded. Like I respect everyone's religions, but for me, the church was created by men, white men. Right? White men translated the Bible.
It's all based on the ego. It's all based on identities.
Exactly. And who the fuck made white men superior to everyone else? Who the fuck said that? Right? That's an ego, an identity. Right?
Exactly.
Who the fuck said that they could rule the world? Not me.
Exactly. I mean, part of the thing that I was saying with the idea of all these religions is that a lot of the ideas of religion, a lot of the ideas of like, you could apply this with like religion, politics, anything. A lot of the ideas.
You can apply this like so
You could apply
far.
it, right? Is that the
Anything you could apply
all of
to
these
literally
ideas
any event
are
in
based.
history.
All of these things we're saying are based on the idea that like you should have certain values which like you think make sense and you should take pride in, right? And that's literally what the ego is. The idea of taking pride in these certain values.
Definitely.
That's why I personally am not like. I think there are some like good morals from religion, like you shouldn't kill, like yeah, obviously.
No shit, yeah.
Yeah, like there are some good things. But
I
there are
don't
also
have to
some.
agree with that.
What do you mean by that, Aiden? No, but there are also some
Wait,
bad
is
things
the-
that can
is
be
the body bag in the
justified.
back or is it in
Yeah.
the frame?
It's not in the frame.
Okay,
We'll cut that out. Make sure they don't know.
Yo, cut out that.
Yeah. No, but I mean, that's part of the thing. I mean, that's why I like not having to be like bound to the constraints of like certain religions. because
Definitely.
I can explore my own consciousness.
Exactly, and exploring your own consciousness and exploring your spirituality within yourself is so much, well, in my opinion, for me,
Right.
in my experience.
So everything is different for everyone.
Exactly, like I said, life is subjective.
Right. It's
Right.
all subjective.
For me, it's just so much more powerful than like going to church and praying. But I was devout. But you know, like for example, abortion is seen as murder in the Catholic
Right.
Church. I don't agree with that, and I don't agree with like forcing that on people. You understand? Forcing certain ideals. I think that should be chosen. I think those should be choices, options, right? And religion was forced onto me at such a young age.
And that's why you got so into it, probably.
Yes, but that's how I got so far from it also. Because I realized that
Yeah.
it wasn't my choice to be Catholic. It wasn't my, it wasn't
fine,
my
I don't
choice
care.
to be so devout. I mean, it was at a certain point, but I didn't understand it entirely. But yeah, it's very freeing, and there's a lot of trauma that goes with like religion, and I have a lot of religious like trauma. I'd say like be it from religion being forced onto me, because I was taught from a very young age by my parents that men should be with women and women should be with men. Killing babies is not okay, etc., etc. Divorce is not okay, which is ironic now because of my parents. They're not even divorced though. And all this stuff, I saw all this stuff, and I was like, okay, right. Oh, woman should be with a man, man should be with a woman, blah, blah, blah. I was like a little parrot, right? And now I know, like, what, like, who the fuck came up with that?
Right.
Like, fuck whoever you want, right?
Mhm.
It all ties back to the fabrication
Right.
that
Exactly.
we've
The
created,
fabrication.
the fabrication of reality that we've created in our minds, in the human mind.
Exactly. And the thing is, I'm also not saying that like the belief that there's like a God that's Jesus Christ and religion is wrong, because you can't prove
100%
anything
not.
is right or wrong. Because when you think about it, I mean, hey, how do we know anything is actually true? And I think a good way to explain this to people to watching the podcast right, is like, how do we know the universe wasn't actually created 5 seconds ago? Because if there was like a divine being, God, that created the universe 5 seconds ago, he would make it such that it's such like a fantastically created illusion that we would never be able to guess. How do we know for sure that it wasn't happening? You could say the same thing about anything. It doesn't have to be 5 seconds ago, right? You know what I mean? Like
No, yeah,
that's my point about.
I
You don't know what's
respect,
right
like,
and wrong.
my whole family's Catholic.
Mhm.
I 100% respect all religions, but for me, I just don't I don't believe in that.
Yeah,
you know,
same.
I don't
I know
think
you
that
mean.
happened, and that's just me, right? Like, respect to everyone, of course, and that's the beauty of mankind, though, that we all have the will to choose what we want to believe in, that we all have the will to do what we want. You understand?
Right. So I think one more thing that we can talk about for a bit before we close off is a bit more about meditation. Like, are there any specific types of meditation? Because I actually don't know a lot of this either.
There are many different breathing techniques. It's actually crazy how you can train your breath to make your lungs stronger, which I need, but I don't do that. To ground yourself from a panic attack, to bring you happy, to up your serotonin. It's crazy. I really like guided meditations, and I also like guiding meditations with people, for people, because I feel like that way you don't feel stuck, especially for beginners. Guided meditations, getting apps like Headspace.
I actually tried that last night. I did it for a couple of minutes. I'm like, wow, this actually.
You can
really
look it up on YouTube. You can do meditation with your body, incorporating muscle relaxation, tensing up a certain part of your body, and then letting go of it.
Right.
And it's like a euphemism, for letting go, right, of whatever it is that you're worrying about, breathing in everything, letting it out, right? I'd say, I don't know, meditation is also subjective. It's so broad, it's so vast, it's various different types of meditation, but for me, I meditate best by myself.
Yeah, so I also meant to ask, because I kind of want to say something that I saw online that was a really interesting hypothesis about this, is do you feel any ego dissolution every time you meditate, a bit more so than you do right now sitting here on the couch?
Probably.
Really?
I mean, I feel, the way I see it is that when I feel so much more connected to myself, to my...
Oh, to your actual...
To my, being, right? Connected to, the environment around me. It's
right.
For example, nature. I'll meditate while I'm on a walk or something.
Right.
I used to do that. I haven't done that in a while, but that is, so powerful because, you can feel yourself walking around, you can feel stuff, and, yeah.
Because something that I kind of want to say about is really interesting is that I read online that basically they think it's kind of they think that part of the reason that can help enable these that can help enable a lot of these near-death experiences is, I'm not saying that it doesn't invalidate the idea of the consciousness leaving the body, but basically the idea is that they think DMT is secreted in the pineal gland.
Yep.
And they've also we think that we don't know for sure, but we do also have proof that you can find traces of DMT naturally occurring in our spinal fluid.
Yeah.
And so the idea is,
When
I've
you go
heard
to
that
sleep,
with
your
what
body
people
releases
do.
DMT, and that's why when sometimes you have dreams, they feel a year long, and sometimes
Right.
you have dreams that feel 5 minutes long,
Right.
which happen over a span of seconds, right?
And it's kind of literally with people who I've read online that people who've taken DMT, and someone I actually know personally told me they felt like they lived a whole lifetime in 15 minutes.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yep.
That is actually crazy. Imagine
Definitely.
waking up and thinking how many years it's been, and everyone's looking around laughing at you it's been 15 minutes.
It's
What are
crazy,
we
and
talking
I've talked to
about?
people who have taken DMT and gone on those trips,
I've talked to people who've gone
and
on
they are
rabbit hole.
so enlightened, and they say that it changed their lives and changed the way they see everything.
That's one way to do it.
I
Obviously, that's
know-
not the only right way to do it.
100%.
You could meditate you could think about shit all day like me, or you could take psychedelics. There's a lot of different ways to
I've
do
read
it.
about people who were really religious, and they took DMT, and afterwards didn't want to be associated with religion at all. It's crazy.
Yeah. No, it definitely is crazy. I mean, and what I was saying is that they actually say they think that these the chemicals like DMT might actually be secreted in slightly higher levels during processes of meditation. I think it's definitely a possibility.
Probably.
It would make sense. I mean, based on what actually happens when you meditate. Right?
Yeah.
So, anyway, I think that was a really good episode.
Dope.
Dope.
Cheers.
That was great.